Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Daily Fantasy Digest Podcast, the all-inclusive podcast where we talk all things fantasy sports to help give you an edge. I am your host, Joe Bewer, and today I'm going to be breaking down the main slate on June 6th. There's an early slate this morning that's around 7 games, but I want to go ahead and get the main slate breakdown as I think this main slate is a lot better than the early slate, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of edge to be had. I want to jump right in with our pitching and bat stacks as well as Dinger of the Day call. So if you wouldn't mind, just kick back and relax, and let's get into the pitching plays that I want to go ahead and run through really fast. Right off the bat, we only got one guy over 10K, rightfully so, locking him in. Patrick Corbin at SP1 going up against San Diego. Had a little fluke here, as you'll see. Didn't really fare too well against Cincinnati. Got absolutely shelled in 2.2 innings, but, rightfully so. All pitchers do regress at some point. But Corbin's been on absolute fire all this year, and he was 11-2 in that game and dropped almost $1,000 off his price going up against arguably not that great of an offense in San Diego Padres. So I want to lock in Corbin here at 10-3. I'm not a big fan of the Minnesota-Cleveland game for bats or pitchers, really, and I'm not a big fan of the Oakland game as well. But to me, J.A. Happ going up against Toronto, and J.A. Happ is 7,800 after coming back and just blowing up Kansas City and Boston. I think this is a for sure and should be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate by far. I would project Happ to be somewhere around 70 to 80% owned. There are a few pitchers that are feasible. I could see you going Skaggs in GPP, going up against Oakland, who just hasn't been hot as of late, and I can also see you going Berrios, as Cleveland is, one of the highest strikeout percentage teams in the league. I'm just not a fan of Berrios away from home, so I'm just going to be fading Berrios. It would be more of a GPP play for me. These two pitchers in Corbin and Happ are going to be what my lineup looks like come lock tomorrow, and I feel the safest going with these two guys in my lineup. So, that being said, let's go ahead and jump over to bat stacks. There's two teams that I want to target. Don't want to target anymore. Just want to stack these teams and then find some value maybe in a third team here. But the Yankees going up against Edwin Jackson. Edwin Jackson's been having roughly around a 13 ERA this season. It's absolutely terrible. And there's a few players that I really want to target, Aaron Hicks being one of them. And I really want to target Gleyber Torres as another. I think that these guys are just super, super underrated. And I don't think that, Edwin Jackson's going to be able to handle either of them. I think they're truly underpriced, especially Aaron Hicks at 4,100. He's just been having a great, bounce back from an injury. It's a little slow, but we can expect to see, something great in the future here, especially when you get to go up against Edwin Jackson. Another value play I really like here is Cameron Maybin, assuming he gets a play, has a lot of stolen base upside. Love Cameron Maybin here at 3,700. Kind of leaves you more cap space to be able to fit in some of those other players. Could see you going DJ LeMahieu here at 4,400. Definitely not not going to stray away from that. Going to fade Gary. Never want to pay up for a catcher for me personally. So I'm going to go ahead and be fading Gary Sanchez. Moving on to the next bat stack, we got Texas going up against David Hess. Everybody's price is just jacked, and rightfully so. But I want to attack the lower price pointed players here because I don't think making these high price guys is a priority. One guy I do love here is Nomar Mazara. I think that he's just so underrated, and I really think that, him as a whole is just an incredible player for Texas. And now I do want to move Rougned Odor into player pool as well as Gleyber Torres. Rougned Odor is only second base eligible. 3,700 for a player like Odor is just absolutely, ridiculous for me. I love Odor and Mazara, lefties going up against Hess. I think this is just a great option, especially, with how terrible Hess has been this entire year. I really want to pick on him here as, part of my stack. On the other side of this, just to get some value, going up against Errol Jurado, who's really not too terrible. He's not that bad, but I do want to go ahead and get some value with a potential leadoff hitter in Hanser Alberto, who usually hits leadoff. I think this is just an absolute incredible play. just as somebody kind of one off from, the norm of what we usually do and stack 2 to 3 per team. Definitely want to go with Hanser Alberto. Usually hits leadoff. I think that's just a great play going up against Gerardo, but I don't think that Baltimore is going to score too many runs. But getting any value below 4K is necessary. And this is definitely the game that I want to target, and I see that the game is just going to have the highest total possible on this slate. And rightfully so, judging by where they're playing. Texas currently minus 160 favorites with a 10 over under. So as many players as you can get from this game, I would definitely agree with. One other player that I do want to highlight on this Texas team is Ronald Guzman at 4,100. Don't really understand the price at all. He's been very consistent as of late. I could definitely see you plugging him in here, and then finding a catcher from there. There's plenty below here that will be available. Roberto Perez you could plug in, any of these guys that you can go ahead and plug in. So this is roughly what my lineup's going to look like come lock tomorrow, potentially switching out a few of the Yankees players depending on which one I like more. But I think the Yankees are the best stack going up against Edwin Jackson, and then Texas is just right behind him going up against David Hess. I think you can get some value at the Baltimore side with Hanser Alberto at 3,800 hitting leadoff against Gerardo. And then potentially filling in a catcher, low-tier catcher such as Roberto Perez, somebody like that. But I think definitely the play tomorrow pitcher is going to be Patrick Corbin and J.A. Happ. 7,800 for J.A. Happ just seems way too cheap for the matchup that he has. And I really want to exploit that matchup. And I don't think that, the bat stacks are far and few between that you're not going to be able to fit in a lot. I think you're going to be able to fit in just as much that you need. So, on this podcast, we do a dinger of the day call. I want to go ahead and make my call today for tomorrow. It's going to be Gleyber Torres. Any day that I can have it be Gleyber Day against a great matchup in a terrible pitcher on the other side, I'm going to take full advantage. Gleyber Torres at 4,600 is going to be the dinger of the day call. This is exactly what my lineup's going to look like come tomorrow. Maybe a few tweaks depending on lineups, positioning, but this is roughly what it's going to look like. If you enjoy this video, enjoy this breakdown, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're on Apple or Yahoo, or if you're on Apple or YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Like and comment. Let me know what you thought of the breakdown. Follow me on Twitter at @FantasyDigest_. Stay up to date with all the podcast updates as well as any information that we tweet out before lock. Also, stay up to date with all the previous breakdowns as well as an interview that will be coming out tomorrow, being Friday, with a very special guest that I had on. I think everybody's going to enjoy that. If you did enjoy this breakdown, I appreciate all the support. And with that being said, stay tuned for more breakdowns and interviews. And until next time, peace.